Good afternoon and welcome to the Mobile City Planning Commission meeting for today, January 15th. I'd like to take a moment to review our general operating procedures. This meeting is divided into two sessions, public hearing and deliberation. In the public hearing session, an agenda item will be called. The applicant makes their presentation. Commission members ask questions. Members of the public make their comments to the commission. Only 4 people can speak for an agenda item or 4 people against. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes, subject to questions by the commission. And at 1 minute remaining, a speaker will have a warning beep to prompt them to summarize your comments. After opposition speakers have spoken on an application, the applicant is allowed a 2-minute rebuttal. If you do intend to speak, come to the podium at the bottom of the stairs, speak into the microphone, and provide your name and address for the record. Direct all your comments to the commission only and not to the applicant, the staff, or the audience. After we listen to all the applications, we will then go into the deliberation where we will discuss each application with input from the staff as necessary, but with no input from the audience. Commissioners then vote on each application, and the results of that meeting voting can be learned from the planning department. If some issues arise during deliberation that were not addressed in the public hearing, we have the discretion to allow additional comments pertaining to those issues in order to resolve them or call for the application to be held over for discussion at a future meeting. Occasionally, a commissioner may recuse themselves from discussing and voting on a given application. That does not mean they are directly involved with the application or the applicant, but depending on the circumstances, ethical rules may require the recusal. If that member recuses, a supernumerary on our commission will vote in their stead. The Planning Commission makes final decisions on subdivisions with appeals of these decisions to the Circuit Court. The Planning Commission is strictly a recommending body for rezonings, conditional use permits, and planned developments. The City Council makes the final decision on these applications, and all appeals of City Council decisions are to the Circuit Court. At this time, do me a favor, please turn your cell phones or other devices to vibrate or the silent setting so that we can not have any interruptions. Commissioners and staff, please turn on your microphones when speaking. I'll go ahead and call the roll. Myself, Jay Stubbs, present. Mr. Kirk Matei, Ms. Jennifer Denson, Mr. Harry Brislin. Here. Mr. Larry Dorsey. Here. Mr. Chad Anderson. Here. Mr. Matt Anderson. Mr. Nick Amberger. Here. Mr. Josh Woods. Here. Mr. Kenny Nichols. And Miss Ellie Edwards. Here. We do have a quorum, and I will go ahead and move to approve the agenda for today, January 15th.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion for the agenda passes. We will now move into number 1, which is a holdover on the agenda from a previous meeting. This is at 5330 Moffett Road. The conditional use permit to allow community residence for more than 5 persons in an R1 single-family residential suburban district. Is the applicant present? Yes. You are? Your name, sir?
Sorry for that. My name for the commission is Rodney Clements, co-owner of the property located at 5330 Moffett Road.
And your address, same address or a different address?
Same address.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm looking at notes here that we did not submit a revised, or you guys did not submit a revised site plan demonstrating compliance with the site development standards of Article 3 of the UDC, which is our Unified Development Code, and not address the applicable criteria for the conditional use permit approval from the UDC, specifically Article 5, Section 6E.
Slight correction. We did submit a plan, but I do agree with you. It wasn't in guidelines. So we did reach out for additional support and help from the company CMG and Patrick Garcesi, who's willing to assist us in the administration of making sure that these things are covered, is also here today.
So as it stands, it's still in holdover phase. Do you want to ask Mr. Garcecki to make comments towards the items that are outstanding?
Yes, sir. He can make those comments to the things that are outstanding, but I think our ask is in lieu of what he advised us of, to take the holdover until a later time, so that we're able to make the corrections. Because he did go out and see the site, and he does agree with the administration for us to make those corrections to be in compliance.
So what I'm hearing you say is you're looking for an additional holdover. Staff, this has been held over from which meeting? Was it
both the November and December meetings.
So it was requested by the applicant, so this would have been,
They are maxed out on the amount of holdovers that they are permitted
Okay.
under the ordinance.
Mr. Garsecki, you're in the audience. Would you like to come down and make comments towards this?
Patrick Garstecki, 457 St. Michael Street. I did advise Rodney that it would take a little bit longer than an additional 1 or 2 months holdover to meet all the city requirements. So I believe if he, or we withdraw the application, you have 6 months.
That's correct.
I think that's a better timeline. So if that's the case, I think we just withdraw this for now and we'll resubmit in 6 months.
Is the applicant okay with that timeframe?
The time frame, yes, sir, we are. As long as the resubmission or the withdrawal doesn't disqualify us from opening in that site and somebody else opening that site. We do have a regulatory guideline of being within 1,000 feet of another facility of this type. So we would want to make sure that we protect the entity's address so we don't do it all for nothing.
Comments from staff?
So your concern would be that in the next 6 months, someone else could open up on the site that you own?
No, sir. A site that's within 1,000 feet of the site that we currently have application for.
I don't know how, I don't know how planning and zoning could regulate that. I don't think we can.
So what is it specifically that you don't want to happen? I know enough. Go ahead.
To lose out on the opportunity to open the business there at that location. If somebody opens a site next door to that location, we would have done all this for nothing, quite honestly.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yeah.
a conditional use permit is required for a residence like this anyways. And so if someone else were to come in, let's say in 2 months, they would also have to come before this board for conditional use permit.
So what I'm hearing him say is it would have to come before this board.
For someone else.
Yes.
And so if they get approved and we're in the process of waiting the 6 months,
That's the risk you have to take.
so what exceptions do we have when we choose not to withdraw but ask for the consideration?
So the other option here, and I'll get confirmation from staff, is if you want to just withdraw and wait the 6-month time frame. If you don't want to do that, then it would be let it go through. We vote. If it is denied, then that denial can be appealed to the city council. And it'd just be, at that time, you'd have to get on the city council's agenda, and we don't have that calendar, so you'd have to reach out to them. So those are the two avenues you've got a choice of. We know one is for certain is it 6 months from today or 6 months from their application date original?
6 months from the denial, so from today.
Today. So it would be 6 months from today. So that would be the February, March, April, May, June, July. That'd be the July meeting. So everything, Mr. Garsecki and his staff would know exactly what needs to be turned in by the previous month. So that'd be option one. Option two is let it go through today and then appeal to the city council with the expectation that you try to get on their calendar before July. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Am I speaking out of turn here?
That's correct.
All right. Any further comments? You don't have to make that decision right now. We're still in public hearing. So once we get to deliberation, it'll be recall on number one on the deliberation phase.
Sure.
So you guys can let us know what you want to do by that time.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions or comments from commissioners on that item?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
just as the city council representative on the planning commission, I do feel there's a lot of questions that are unanswered. Dealing with, obviously a conditional use permit, we know what the use is going to be intended for. I feel, and I don't speak out of turn when I say that the city council representative for this area had questions as well. How many residents are going to be in this? It's adjoining another property with a like use. The parking situation. Also, what does staffing look like? I do believe there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and maybe the applicant needs to consider the questions that are outstanding. So,
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Any further questions or comments from commissioners? And since it's on the agenda, is there anyone in the audience that is here to speak for, speak against, or have questions towards this application that is currently still on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Number 2 on the agenda, this is new. All of these items will be new applications. This is a subdivision at the east side of Bayfront Road, 558 feet south of Terrell Road, the Bayfront subdivision. It's one lot at 0.58 acres. Is the applicant present? Any questions or comments? There are 8 listed conditions. Are you in agreement with those conditions? Applicant is present and in agreement with those conditions. For commissioners' sake, we would have to consider a waiver of section 6C3 for lot depth. If you have any questions towards that, now is the time. I'll now ask if there's anyone else in the audience for this agenda item to speak for, speak against, or have questions towards it. Again, this is on Bayfront Road. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to number 3 on the agenda. This is a subdivision of one lot, again at 0.58 acres. Don't think I've ever seen double the same exact acreage. This is at 1558 Luling Street. Or is it Lulling? Anybody want to correct me? Nobody knows. 6 conditions listed. Is the applicant present? Are you in agreement with those conditions listed? The applicant is present, has a thumbs up. For commissioners' consideration, we would have to consider a waiver of section 6B9, which is the alley right-of-way. If there's any questions or comments from commissioners on that, now is the time. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience for this agenda item at 1558 Luling Street to speak for, speak against, or have question towards it. All right, moving right along, we'll go to number 4. This is a subdivision at 401 St. Louis Street, the RGH St. Louis subdivision. This is one lot at 0.12 acres. Is the applicant present? The applicant is present with a raise of hand. There are 12 listed conditions. Are you in agreement with those 12 listed conditions? The applicant gave a thumbs up. I'll ask if there's any questions or comments from commissioners on this agenda item, St. Louis Street. And now I'll ask if there's anyone in the audience that is here to speak for, speak against, or have question towards this application. Okay. Number 5 appears to be the same applicant, at 1313 St. Louis Street, RGH St. Louis 2 subdivision. Subdivision of one lot at 0.51 acres. There are 13 listed conditions here. Applicant is in agreement with those 13 listed conditions. He gave a nod of yes. Again, any questions or comments from commissioners on number 5? And again, anyone in the audience to speak for, speak against, or have question towards this application? All right, we'll now move on to number 6. Subdivision at 61 Ridgelawn Drive East and 4813 Ravine Court, North Ridgelawn Ravine subdivision. This is a subdivision of 2 lots at 1.62 acres. Should this be considered by the commission, there are 9 listed conditions. Is the applicant present? Are you in agreement? Yes, the applicant is here and with a thumbs up gave an agreement to the 9 listed conditions for this subdivision of 2 lots. Any questions or comments from commissioners? Is there anyone here in the audience to speak for, speak against, or have questions towards 61 Ridgelawn Drive East and 4813 Ravine Court? All right, seeing none, we will move on. I didn't see any public comments on that one either. Okay, we will move on. Number 7 This is a subdivision at 1600 University Boulevard South and 4217 Ezekiel Street, the Logan Cottages subdivision. This is 7 lots at 1.67 acres. Looks like our applicant is present, and sir, there are 17 listed conditions. I'm guessing we'll have to maybe have some questions towards those. And before you state your name and address for the record, for consideration of commissioners, we would have potential waivers of section 6C2 for lot width and 6C3 for lot depth. Yes, sir.
Hey, Corey Brownenkamp, 549 Congress Street. Really, the only thing I had was item number 12. It's prior to signing of the plat. I'm good with that. I think it just should be relevant to phase 2 because the road is just isolated to phase 2. So I don't want to be subject to that for phase 1. So y'all could just add a note prior to signing the plat of phase 2.
Staff, would you be in agreement with that?
That would be acceptable considering this is a composite subdivision. The recording of phase 1 acts as an extension until phase 2 can be recorded. So essentially, while phase 1 might get recorded, the full subdivision would not be finalized until phase 2 is done. So I think that's acceptable.
Acceptable to just waive it at this point, or do we need to change it somehow?
Change it to prior to signing the plat for phase 2.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Any questions, comments, or concerns from commissioners regarding that request from the applicant? All right, seeing none, thank you, Mr. Brownenkamp. I'll now ask if there's anyone here in the audience that is here to speak for, speak against, or have questions towards this application at 1600 University Boulevard South and 4217 Ezekiel Street. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to number 8. Number 8 is a rezone application at 1724 Michigan Avenue. J. Paul McClendon, Larry E. Speaks and Associates. This is a rezone request of Neighborhood Business Suburban District B2 to Office Distribution District B5. For Commissioners' consideration, there are potentially 7 findings of fact in addition to full compliance with all municipal codes conditions. Is the applicant present? Do you have any questions towards the findings of facts that are listed there or the conditions of full compliance with all municipal codes and ordinances on the rezone? Any questions or comments from commissioners on going B2 to B5 on Michigan Avenue? Give you a chance to take a look. And while you do that, I'll also ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak for, speak against, or have questions towards this rezone application.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
all right, well, actually, I'll save my stuff till deliberation.
All right. Paused. Other commissioners? All right, seeing none, we will move on to number 9. Number 9 is a dual application, a subdivision and a sidewalk waiver application at 4800 Rutgers Road, and then 4688, 4702, 4726, 4738, 4758, 4770, 4790 Bowden Road, the Portside Industrial Park subdivision. For the subdivision, potentially there are 14 listed conditions for commissioners' consideration, potentially of a section 6C7 waiver for excess street frontage. And we'll hear now from the applicant.
Patrick Garstecki, 457 St. Michael Street. On the subdivision, I guess on the comments, I have a few questions. One being that waiver of section 6C7. Access shall be limited to one street for the entire block face. Is that, if we waive that, does that mean we're not limited to one block face for access?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, at the bottom of the subdivision comments, mentions Alabama Power's right-of-way on the west side. It says a note should be required on the final plat stating that access to this right-of-way is denied. If we have permission from Alabama Power to have access through that right-of-way, is that granted?
If you can provide that information to our department, that's something that we can consider.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is either removing that condition or modifying it.
And that's number 3? No, that's just the width. 10. Ah, thank you. I was just looking for Alabama Power.
Yeah, and it's really on the page before, under planning comments, where it mentions it a little bit more. But,
You want to move on to the sidewalk waiver? Go ahead.
okay. It says engineering comments say that we have sufficient space to construct sidewalks. And no offense, I disagree in a way. We have a ditch right along the road and existing ditch that potentially will get wider and deeper. And in the first 2 sections, for example, we have 3'11" and 3'3" to the right-of-way line, the back of the right-of-way line, to the top of the ditch. And if we go a foot off, now we're looking at 2'3" or 2'11", which is not enough room for a 4-foot sidewalk. If we keep the sidewalk in the right-of-way, like.
What's the nature of this application, or this?
Yeah, so it is a industrial warehouse site, I guess. It'll be truck court area right next to the right-of-way line. So we're talking 18-wheeler trucks in and out. And again, not really safe for the pedestrians to be walking around this area as well. The interstate's on the west side, range line road's on the north and east, we'll call it. The whole area to the west is zoned I-1 as well. So it's an industrial area now with no real access, especially to the west. I hope nobody's walking across the interstate. So I don't think it's a suitable site for a sidewalk.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I think given the industrial component of this site and the adjoining developments, and everything, I think a sidewalk waiver is appropriate in this area.
Thank you.
I'll ask other commissioners if they have any comments or questions regarding the subdivision application or the sidewalk waiver application while the applicant's here. All right, thank you, Mr. Garstecki. I'll now ask if anyone in the audience has questions for or against, or just regarding this dual application at 4800 Rutgers Road and the litany of addresses at Bowden Road. All right, seeing none, we will move on. For number 10, we do have a recusal. Mr. Kirk McTay will be recused from public hearing and deliberation and voting. We still maintain a quorum for this dual application subdivision and modification at 1500 Yager Pass, which is a private road, range line crossing subdivision, Phase 4, re-subdivision of lots 1 through 3, and the re-subdivision of lots 6 through 11. In total, it's 3 lots subdivision, 47 acres. And then the major modification application of a previously approved PUD, allowing shared access and parking between multiple building sites to modify lot lines in coordination with proposed subdivision. For the subdivision itself, there are potentially 10 listed conditions. And for our modification, there are potentially 8 findings of fact and 13 listed conditions. Is the applicant present? All right, the applicant is present by raise of hand. Take them separately on the questions. Do you have any issue or have to address any of the 10 listed conditions for the application on the subdivision? The applicant says no, so you're in agreement with those. She says yes. And then on the modification, are you understanding of the potential findings of fact there and then in agreement with those 13 listed conditions? The applicant is in agreement, understanding of the findings of fact and in agreement with those 13 conditions. Any questions or comments from commissioners regarding this dual application at Yager Pass? Seeing none from the commissioners, I'll now ask if there's anyone in the audience with questions for, questions against, comments against, or just in general on this dual application. All right, seeing none, we will move on. We'll welcome back Mr. Matei. Number 11, also a dual application. Two modifications previously approved planning approvals at 4800 Moffett Road, Board of Water and Sewer. I have a note here for the modification to potentially hold over this request until February 19th so that required revisions and additional information can be turned in by February 6th. Is the applicant present? Applicant is present with a raise of hand. Are you in agreement with that potential outcome? The applicant gave a thumbs up. Because it's on the agenda, we will ask if there's anyone in the audience that has questions towards this Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners dual application modification at 4800 Moffett Road. Questions for, or to speak for, or to speak against? Yes, ma'am. Would you like to come to the podium and state your name? Yes, ma'am. Your name and address for the record. Make sure you pull the microphone down a little bit so that we can hear you, and then proceed.
My name is Hazel Breland, and I live at 4824 Mercedes Road. And my property abuts the water department in the back part of the water department. For the past 2 years, I have endured a lot of shaking of my sunroom windows, which are on the second floor, my doors on the inside, internal doors rattling, and I have been in touch with the person who is in charge of the work, I guess you'd say, that's going on over there. And he put out a sensor on the fence that divides my property from the water department property. And he kept telling me that it was in approved limits. But I don't approve my house shaking. I've been in that house for almost 27 years, and no storm that has come through has ever shaken my sunroom windows or my internal doors. It's a very well-built house. And so anything that's happening over there that's hard enough to shake my doors and windows is too hard. And so I don't know what they're going to do over there, but I don't want to spend another 2 years with that going on. I've had nobody reach out to me to say, we'll make this right. And I would like to know if they're required to make that right. It seems to me that they would be. I'm a retired social worker, so you know I don't have a whole lot of income. And so I don't have the money to do all these repairs. So I would like to just, for the record, if they're going to do this, and I'm sure they'll be approved to do it because we need our water, you know, but they need to make it right, the damage that they're doing. And I'm not the only one. I have other neighbors across the street from me who've said that they had whatnots fall off the shelves because the shaking was so bad over there. So I just want to enter that into the record.
Ms. Breland, thank you for your comments. I will read to you that this, well, first and foremost, it is being held over to a future date, so there's an opportunity to have more public comments because it would be held over to the next month's meeting.
Okay.
And I'm reading here that this is allow the construction of, and I don't know what these items are or how big or to the extent of what that's going to require, but it's the construction of a clarifier, pump station, and associated site improvements. The applicant's representative, he probably can put you in touch with the right folks if you have further questions, and we have a month to get some resolution to your concerns.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak for, speak against, or have questions towards this application at 4800 Moffett Road? God bless you. The final item on the agenda for today is number 12. It's a dual application modification at 65 Mobile Street, UMS Wright Preparatory School. It's the major modification of a previously approved planning approval, existing school in an R1 single-family district to allow expansion of an existing private school with work on a building site to construct a restroom, basketball court, and covered sidewalk. And with both of these, there are potentially 8 findings of fact for commissioners, and then 3 listed conditions per each modification. Is the applicant present? The applicant is present. Are you understandings of the findings of fact? Yes, he is in nod for both. And are you in agreement with the potential of those 3 listed conditions? And he is with a thumbs up in agreement with those listed conditions. I'll give commissioners a chance to look at that project. If they have any questions or concerns, now is the time. And I'll also ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak for, speak against, or have questions towards this modification, dual application at UMS on 65 Mobile Street. All right. Seeing none, that will close the public hearing, and we will move back to number 1 on the agenda for deliberation. I noticed that the applicant did exit from number 1. Mr. Garsecki, did you have a chance to speak with him? Do we know what the outcome of that decision is? 6 months? Okay. So do we want to say that question one more time? If we don't have enough, staff doesn't have enough information to give us the recommendation for approval for us to even consider that. So option 1 would be denying and then appealing the denial to the city council, of which Mr. Woods then said we'd still get a lot of questions answered and we would be subject to that calendar. The other option would be to withdraw, and withdrawal would have the 6-month period and takes us to the July meeting. Withdrawal. Thank you, Mr. Garsecki. No voting is needed. Application is withdrawn. Number 2, subdivision at the east side of Bayfront Road. Bayfront subdivision. 1 lot, 0.58 acres. Applicant is present and in agreement with the 8 listed conditions. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations and a waiver of section 6C3.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion for subdivision passes. Number 3, 1558 Luling Street, CM Shepherd subdivision, 1 lot, 0.58 acres. 6 listed conditions. Potential of waiver 6.B.9. Applicant is present and in agreement with those 6 listed conditions.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The application for subdivision passes. Number 4, subdivision application at 401 St. Louis Street. 1 lot, 0.12 acres. The applicant is present and in agreement to the 12 listed conditions for number 4. Entertain a motion.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The application for subdivision passes. Same applicant, number 5, 1313 St. Louis Street. Present and in agreement with 13 listed conditions. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I think the address is 313. I don't know how much of a big deal it is, but it might be a big deal if we use the wrong address. So is it 313 or 1313? Which one is it?
Is that my misspeak? Sorry. I did say 13 listed conditions at 313 St. Louis Street. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion for application passes. Number 6, it's a subdivision of 2 lots at 61 Ridgelawn Drive East, 4813 Ravine Court. The applicant is present and in agreement with the 9 listed conditions.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for subdivision passes. Number 7, subdivision application at 1600 University Boulevard South and 4217 Ezekiel Street. The applicant is present, requested modification to condition number 12 to include prior to signing the plat, phase 2. I think that was all.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations, waiving section 6C2 and 6C3, and amending the first line of item 12 to say prior to signing the plat for phase 2, the applicant is to present, and so on and so forth.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion for application passes. Number 8, it's a rezone application at 1724 Michigan Avenue. Rezone of B2 to B5, potentially 7 findings of fact and full compliance condition. The applicant is present. Did not have any questions on the potential of those findings of fact or the conditions. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations, adopting findings of facts A, C, D, E, F, and G.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded with findings of fact A, C, D, E, and G. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for rezone B2 to B5 passes. Number 9, dual application. We will take them separately. Subdivision at 4800 Rutgers Road and a litany of addresses at Bowden Road. The applicant is present on the 14 listed conditions and was in agreement and did want to make adjustments to number 6 on the conditions, if I have that notes correct.
Number 6. Were we supposed to do something with 10 too?
Number 10,
And number 10.
6, number 10.
What are we doing with it?
there was no question for 6, but on number 10, it currently states placement of a note on the final plat stating that access to the Alabama Power Company right-of-way along the west boundary is denied. It's suggested to be changed to include unless permission is granted by the easement or unless permission is granted by Alabama Power Company. Is that right?
It's granted by Alabama Power Company to Alabama Power Company?
To the applicant. We're going to have to reword that.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So I guess what we're trying to accomplish is not put anything on the plat guaranteeing the access. Is that, I guess I'm confused by what we're trying to accomplish.
That's correct. So right now, it's right-of-way that is owned and operated by Alabama Power Company. So unless the applicant is given permission to operate within their right-of-way, then they cannot do so. So
could
what
we
we're wanting is some sort of condition that either denies them unless Alabama Power Company allows them to
So
operate.
could we just say, after the semicolon, instead just say unless otherwise granted? Because there's only one person that can grant the permission anyway.
Include the language saying if Alabama Power were to grant an easement for them to be able to use it, or just, like you said, unless otherwise granted, which the only grantor could be Alabama Power. So,
Well, we don't know if the word salad.
yeah.
And did we have to do something with 6 too? Is that what
I
it
think it was my mistake. You just had questions on number 6.
said? Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Well, I'll move to approve subdivision, waiving section 6C7 and amending item number 10, removing the semicolon and adding the words unless otherwise granted.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion for the subdivision passes. We'll now take the sidewalk waiver. I'll move to approve based on comments from city council representative, unless other commissioners have issues with this. Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion for sidewalk waiver passes. Number 10, we will recuse Mr. Kirk Matei. We still maintain a quorum for the deliberation. Dual application. Take them separately. Subdivision, 1500 Yager Pass. 10 listed conditions. The applicant is present and in agreement. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for the subdivision passes. The modification, previously approved PUD, potentially 8 findings of fact and 13 listed conditions. The applicant is present on that as well. No questions or comments towards those items. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations on findings of fact A through H. Second.
Properly moved and seconded with findings of fact A through H. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Any opposed? Sounded quiet. The motion for modification application passes. Welcome back, Mr. Kirk Matei. We'll move on to number 11.
Move to hold over to the February 19th meeting.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded for holdover to February 19. What is, then with a date of information submitted no later than February 6th?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Just for clarification of where we are right now, I guess what's in front of us, and this would be a question for staff. Obviously, you know, apparently by the map, they're already constructing the reservoir. And I guess my question to you would be is, was there permits associated with that? And I guess for the sake of planning commission, that's already allowable by some sort of conditional use or since it is R1, I mean, that everything that's occurring right now is allowable. And I guess have we seen permits for the reservoir increase or?
That's correct. So this actually goes back to 2021 where they received the planning approval for the most recent expansions, and those are still active. So this was to modify that approval to add the additional modifications to the site.
Right, and then I guess just for the resident, what's kind of occurring right now, I guess, is you know that's an execution of previously what's happened or permitted before, and really I guess what's before us is just the construction of like that additional pump house and a couple things, I guess, more towards the south part of the site, I guess.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to just provide some clarity that, you know, what's in front of us is for the south part of the site to, I guess, kind of finish the project, and that, you know, yes, ma'am. So just, I think what you're experiencing right now might be the construction of that reservoir where they're going to hold all the water, but I just want to provide some clarity for you that, you know, this project's a little separate. It's kind of away from where you're. Yes, ma'am. Just that nuisance of your windows rattling, and I'm sure and some damage. Yes, ma'am. But I definitely think our mobile water and sewer, he might, if y'all connect, maybe he can kind of provide a little bit more color, because I guess you've apparently been talking to maybe the contractor, say, but. Yes, ma'am. And talk about it. Yes, ma'am. But you got a fellow up there. I think he might can answer some questions for you. Yes, ma'am.
We have a properly seconded motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Hold over till February 19th. Number 12, dual application, dual modification. 2 separate modification sites on the property, so we'll take them separately. 65 Mobile Street, UMS Right. Potentially 8 findings of fact and 3 conditions per modification. I'll reference the first one as 03572. By the way, the applicant is present and understanding the potential findings of fact and the conditions. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations, adopting findings of facts A through H.
Properly moved and seconded with findings of fact A through H. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for modification passes. The second one, 003573, same findings of fact and listed conditions on the same property, separate building site. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations, adopting findings of facts A through H.
Properly moved and seconded with findings of fact A through H. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion for modification passes. That concludes the agenda items. I'll ask commissioners to stand by for just a second. We have other business to review and approve minutes from the following Planning Commission meetings: January 16th, 2025, February 20th, 2025, and March 20th, 2025. I'll move to approve in batch. Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes from those dates are approved. Any other business? Stay warm out there.